Welcome to this explainer. I am literally so incredibly glad you're here today. Think of me as your personal health coach for the next 10 minutes or so. We're going to create a completely safe, totally judgment free space to talk about something that frustrates, honestly, millions of people: sustainable health. If you've been fighting this just absolutely exhausting battle with your weight, or your habits, or your relationship with food, well, I want you to just take a deep breath right now. You are in the exact right place, and I am so excited to share this journey with you today. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's dive right into the elephant in the room. It's the most common, most painful question I hear as a coach. Why does the weight always come back? And why do I sometimes feel completely out of control around food? It is deeply, deeply frustrating to track every macro, count every single calorie, and still watch the scale just slowly creep right back up. I really want to validate that struggle for you right now. It is so real. But I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the actual hidden biological reasons behind why this happens, and way more importantly, we're going to talk about how to actually fix it. To start making sense of this, we kind of have to look at how we typically try to lose weight in the first place. It's a really predictable trap that we call the restrict-binge cycle. It usually kicks off with restriction, skipping meals, aggressively cutting out carbs, or trying to eat quote-unquote perfectly. Well, this inevitably leads to stage 2, feeling profoundly deprived, both physically and emotionally. Eventually, that deep deprivation triggers stage 3, a binge. You just end up eating in a way that feels totally out of control. And of course, that dumps us right into stage 4, all that heavy guilt and shame, which just makes us want to restrict again. But here is the massive secret. I need you to hear this loud and clear. It is not your fault. Binge eating after a long period of restriction has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of willpower or a lack of discipline. It is a completely natural, deeply ingrained evolutionary survival mechanism. When you restrict your food, your body literally thinks you are starving in a famine. It responds by cranking up all your hunger hormones and totally muting your fullness signals. So this isn't self-sabotage, right? This is literally just your biology trying its absolute best to keep you alive. So to understand why the weight comes back, we've got to look at the underlying science. We've all probably heard of peripheral insulin resistance. That's the common metabolic problem where your muscles, your liver, and your fat cells just stop responding to insulin, which often leads to type 2 diabetes. But there is a second kind of hidden neurological problem called central or brain insulin resistance. This is when the insulin resistance happens specifically in your hypothalamus, which is basically the master metabolic control center of your brain. Let's define this clearly because it's a huge piece of the puzzle. Brain insulin resistance occurs when the neurons in your brain completely fail to hear the "I'm full" signals coming from your hormones. Normally, insulin tells your brain, hey, we've got plenty of energy down here. But when your brain becomes resistant, which is really often driven by high saturated fat intake, chronic stress, or just awful sleep, that vital satiety signal just totally fails. Your body might have plenty of stored energy, but your brain genuinely, truly believes you are starving. And this neurological misfire builds into what I like to call the relentless hunger loop. First up, you develop leptin resistance, so your fat cells are basically screaming, guys, we have plenty of energy, but your brain is completely deaf to the message. Because of this, your hunger-promoting neurons, they're called AGRP neurons, go into absolute overdrive. Meanwhile, your appetite-suppressing neurons, the POMC brakes, are entirely blocked. And to make matters even worse, your brain deliberately lowers your metabolism to conserve whatever energy it can. You are literally fighting your own internal survival wiring every step of the way. Which perfectly explains this fascinating biological concept called set point theory. Set point theory suggests that your body actually has a predetermined weight that it actively tries to defend. When your hypothalamus gets all inflamed and insulin resistant, its thermostat basically gets miscalibrated to a much higher weight. And this is exactly why regaining weight feels absolutely effortless, while losing it requires constant, exhausting vigilance. Your body is actively pulling you back to that elevated set point through intense hunger and a slowed down metabolism. But hey, do not lose hope here. We can absolutely fix this broken thermostat. To restore brain insulin sensitivity, we just need a really gentle clinical approach to cool down that brain inflammation. We do this first by swapping out those saturated fats for healthy ones and really pumping up the fiber and polyphenols from colorful plants. Next up, time-restricted eating. Keeping your meals within an 8 to 10 hour window does absolute wonders for cleaning up those brain cells. Then, you've got to prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, because literally just one bad night impairs brain insulin signaling. And finally, manage that stress through things like meditation or regular movement to lower your cortisol.
Just remember, guys, this neural recalibration takes patience. It usually takes a good 6 to 12 months.
So, we know the science now, right? And we know what we need to do, but how do we actually implement these health strategies day after day without totally burning out our willpower? Well, for that, we turn to this genuinely incredible behavioral toolkit, James Clear's best-selling book, Atomic Habits. It is the absolute perfect framework for making tiny, sustainable changes that compound into truly remarkable health results over those 6 to 12 months we just talked about. What's truly revolutionary here is how Clear just completely flips goal setting on its head. Most of us start out with an outcome-based goal, something like, I want to lose 20 pounds. But Clear argues we actually need to shift to identity-based habits. Instead of chasing a random number on a scale, you change your entire self-image. You start saying, I am someone who prioritizes health and fitness. When you genuinely adopt the identity of a healthy person, you naturally start making choices that align with that belief. You aren't forcing a restrictive diet, you're just being you. And to build those awesome new identity-based habits, we follow Clear's 4 laws of behavior change. They're so simple but so effective. First, make the cue obvious. Just leave your walking shoes right by the front door. Second, make it attractive. Maybe you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite true crime podcast while you walk. Third, make the response incredibly easy. Don't commit to a 5-mile run right out of the gate. Just commit to a 5-minute walk. And fourth, make it satisfying. Track your progress visually so you feel an immediate sense of reward. You're basically designing your environment so that good habits become the path of least resistance. Now, this brings up a super vital difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is that initial amazing burst of energy, right? It's often driven by extrinsic rewards, like really wanting to look good for an upcoming beach vacation. It's awesome to get you started, but it is fleeting. It will eventually fade. Discipline, on the other hand, is a super reliable intrinsic system of small automatic habits. Honestly, the most successful people out there don't have some kind of superhuman willpower. They just build routines that don't require them to make exhausting, hard decisions every single day. Now, if you're wondering how long it actually takes to build that kind of automatic discipline, the research might surprise you. It takes anywhere from 18 to 264 days to form a new automatic habit. So please throw out that old myth that it only takes 21 days. It is completely 100% okay to start incredibly small, even if it's just putting on your gym clothes and stepping inside the gym for literally 5 minutes a day. You are laying down the neurological groundwork for a lifelong routine, so be patient with yourself. So, what does this discipline actually look like in the real world? Let's look at the National Weight Control Registry. They track thousands of people who have successfully maintained significant weight loss for years, and we see some incredibly consistent habits pop up here. Almost 80% of them eat breakfast every single day. They engage in about an hour of physical activity daily, and get this, walking is the most common form. And crucially, they maintain a consistent way of eating on both weekdays and weekends. They don't restrict all week just to go on a huge binge on Saturday. It's just steady, rhythmic consistency. Okay, so let's say you're doing all of this. You're eating way more fiber, you're walking daily, your brain inflammation is finally cooling down. But you step on the scale and the number just hasn't moved much. What do you do? I want to invite you right now to consider a genuinely radical idea. What if we threw away the bathroom scale entirely? Like literally tossed it? How would we measure our real success then? Well, this transitions us into what I think is the absolute best part of our whole journey together today. Let me introduce you to my absolute favorite metric, non-scale victories, or NSVs for short. These are the profound, life-changing health improvements that result from your new lifestyle changes that a traditional bathroom scale is completely blind to. Think about it. The scale only gives you a tiny snapshot of gravity's pull on your physical mass at one specific moment in time. NSVs, on the other hand, are the true living indicators that your metabolism is actually healing and that you are successfully stepping right into your new healthy identity. So let's celebrate some physical non-scale victories first. Very often, your clothes will start fitting way more comfortably long before the scale ever drops a single pound. You're going to notice a massive surge in your daily energy levels. Your sleep quality will deepen, and remember, losing that visceral belly fat directly improves your sleep. You might feel way less joint pain because the overall inflammation in your body is finally dropping. And you'll hit really exciting new fitness milestones, like maybe walking a little further or lifting a little heavier without losing your breath. These are massive, profound wins. And hey, the mental non-scale victories are just as beautiful. As you finally start feeding your brain nutrient-dense foods, you'll experience a sharper mind, faster processing, and just a noticeably better overall mood.
But perhaps the absolute biggest mental victory is developing much healthier stress coping mechanisms. Instead of emotionally eating to get that quick temporary hit of dopamine, you might find yourself automatically taking a walk or meditating to manage your stress. And this frees you up to just do more of the things you actually love doing, like playing with your kids, going for a hike, or just working out in the garden.
We also definitely can't ignore the medical non-scale victories. Internally, on a cellular level, you are doing incredible things. You might start seeing much healthier blood pressure and blood sugar numbers at the doctor's office. You might lose actual inches around your waist, which, by the way, drastically reduces your risk for cardiovascular disease, totally regardless of what the scale says. You might even notice clearer, glowing skin as a direct result of eating all those antioxidant-rich fruits and veggies. And here is a really fun, totally surprising non-scale victory for you. $67. According to the data, that is the average weekly savings for an American household when they skip the drive-thru and processed foods and instead start cooking beautiful, colorful whole foods right at home. So not only is your body getting healthier and healing, but your wallet is getting a bit heavier every week too. So I want to leave you with this incredibly important, super encouraging reminder. Stop looking at the number on the scale. It is just a terrible, terrible metric for true health. Start looking at the beautiful life you are building instead. You are adopting the identity of a healthy person. You're using gentle, sustainable discipline to heal your brain's insulin resistance. You are literally fixing your biology from the inside out. You are not punishing yourself. Give yourself the grace and the time to let these really beautiful changes take root. And I'm going to wrap up with this final thought from James Clear. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Success is not a goal, it's a system to improve and refine. Every tiny, single healthy choice you make is just a vote for the person you want to become. So my ultimate question to you is this. What is one small, ridiculously easy, positive habit you are going to start building today to reclaim your health? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. You have totally got this. Keep going.